Peace and love, everybody. Salute. Salute to the good people. I had to come by and talk about this particular subject because I find it to be an absolute imperative that this particular matter is spoken about honestly and without chaser, if you will. I think that we need a lot of dialogue surrounding this particular issue and begin asking questions why this type of thing is taking place, why it's allowed to unfold in the way that it's been unfolding. And then, of course, the next step would be to show ways that we will not support that particular type of output whenever we see it rearing its ugly head in this manner. I feel extremely disparaged by what I saw, off-put, and concerned about some of the details that I came upon regarding DHP and this fatal fury folly that it is evincing itself to be at this particular point. Fatal fury folly. That's what it's looking like to me. Having witnessing the last two pressers in the promotion for this fight. I don't like what I'm seeing, you guys. I'm unsure as to why the methodology surrounding this event are being pursued and upheld in such a disrespectful and tasteless way and a disavowing manner. But it's happening, and it's happening specifically toward and solely towards Devin Haney. A second presser, as many of you may know, was held last evening for the fight card coming up in May. I can't even describe or encompass all that I was feeling and intuiting while I was watching that disgrace unfold last evening. That's real talk. Now, I've spoken about this on my live a few days ago, which some of the family may recall, those who were in the building with me, right? I touched upon this, and I'll say it again here. There is an unabashed and deliberate attempt and effort being made and put forth to dissuade the public from gaining or showing any semblance of affection or support or respect for Devin Haney in this sport. There is an agenda. There is a propaganda-based, movement by the media to soil the name and reputation and character of Devin Haney. That's what's happening. That's what's at place and at work right now. Anybody turning an eye away from this is a coward in media, in whatever boxing sector or whatever boxing affiliation that you have. If you are turning a blind eye to this, you are a coward. And that's exactly what this propaganda is motioning toward. It's motioning toward that type of response. Your non-participation, your non-cognizance on this particular matter. All right? It's working to lull you to sleep and to convince you that what you're seeing is not really what you're seeing. That don't work over here. This is an outright propagandized motive at hand. And the real ones know what time it is already because we have been seeing it. It's a recurrent theme as it pertains to Devin Haney and DHP as a whole. Its aim is to stifle this young man's mobility and commercial potential in the eye of the public. What I saw last evening, you guys, was beyond unacceptable. I told you guys about the differentiating approach to Devin Haney in that first presser compared to that of how the other fighters on the stage were spoken to and addressed. And now in the second presser, they seem to want to up the ante a notch, right? They wanted to up the level of disrespect towards Haney. And they opted in the second presser last evening to attempt to humiliate him, to, essentially tease him and heckle his respectability in the sport. A heckling is what I witnessed last evening in this presser. I was reviled, you guys, sick to my stomach watching this. I want to divulge a few things with you that I found to be of major note here. Okay, firstly, it's an imperative, to say the least, that in this moment, we show infinite and sincere respect and support to the King Bill Haney for standing on absolute business in front of that camera and calling out that folly and that disrespectful, vile way that the interviewer handled Devin while the presser was taking place. Salute to the King Bill Haney. Salute to that man for not holding his tongue, for not faltering or withering. He instead took the opportunity to snatch the head of that pussy of an interviewer who ignorantly dared to disrespect his son on that stage, who tried to berate and censure and criticize Devin, all the while deep-throating the drug-cheating coward racist Riri Garcia, telling the audience at a particular moment to applaud for that man, Ryan. Applaud, you guys. Bill Haney called this motherfucker out, this sassy, cowardly host who took it upon himself or, who followed whatever order he had been given, to lambaste Devin Haney and question his character as a warrior and as a fighter. Bill Haney wasted no time calling that chump exactly what he was, a bitch. Yes, he said that, as he should have. And that man is lucky that's all he got. When Bill was given the mic to be interviewed, he said to the host, this is a quote from Bill, "You're full of shit. And I hope that this is what you guys wanted to do. It's a fucking circus act. Devin is a real fighter. And you showed no respect up there. You showed no respect for what he's done for boxing. He is a 2-division champion and an undisputed champion. And you're a piece of shit." End quote. That was Bill Haney to that host when he was given the mic. The host felt embarrassed in this moment and small and frail. Okay. And so he does what a coward does, which is absolutely recoil. And then the host replies, quote, "That's not kind of you to say." Kind? Do you guys hear this? Kind? This man has the gall and the audacity to ask for kindness after belittling Devin for something like 45 minutes, no goddamn breaks. Bill responds to that man and says, quote, "Well, I'm telling you the truth," right? And then the host then interjects and says, "Well, why were the fans booing him then?" I mean, I just couldn't believe my ears, y'all. Why were the fans booing him then? Revolted is not even the word that I can use. Sick to my stomach is not even something that's an appropriate descriptor of how I felt. Something has to be done about this, you guys. We cannot accept that level of disgraceful handling of our fighters. Unwarranted. Something has to be done in support of Devin and Bill and any other fighter who comes across this level of, public disavoweling for no goddamn reason. Do we need to write some letters? Do we need to roll up at these events in solidarity? Do we need to get a petition goddamn going against Ring Magazine or those hosts or whoever? What's good? The absolute gall. Unacceptable, y'all. We got to keep it a buck. We got to talk about this for real. If these fucking cowardly media people, aren't going to castigate and admonish Ryan and his character and stature as a fighter after he'd been caught drug cheating, then I don't want to hear a fucking word being spoken to Devin Haney, the man who stood on business in the ring with the PED pig. Knockdowns and all. He stood on business and finished that 12-round fight on his feet. You ain't going to castigate Ryan? Don't say shit to Devin. He finished that fight and still put hands on that drug cheat. Yet and still. How dare these people, in this Ring magazine establishment assume such a degrading posture towards this young king. It's a repeated offense that they keep committing. Okay? And it all culminated, at the hands of that Ryan Garcia scandal last year. But it had been happening, a slow build for a good amount of time. And it just reached its peak with that whole scandal last May. And now it's a free for fucking all. Now everybody want to take their shots unabashedly. Because now they've assumed, a level of a bandwagon that they've created off of the back of this scandal and off of what they, wanted to be a public lashing and humiliation of Devin Haney. And since that commenced, now it's like everybody can throw stones at this man without any level of repudiation whatsoever. And in fact, even further than that is that you will be, in a sense, rewarded for that level of repudiation you spew at Devin Haney and anything surrounding or concerning him. There is a reward if you do that, as exemplified by these particular hosts so far and all across social media and just in the general media as a whole. Anybody who claims to love this sport and respect this sport needs to be vexed. Needs to be vexed at the handling of this situation and at the approach taken against Devin Haney. Now, as the interview goes on, Bill Haney continues to call out the fuckery of the host further, okay? When he tells him that he failed, purposely abstained from addressing Devin for what he is. The host was called out for that deliberate evasion, okay? All the while holding up and celebrating Ryan Garcia. Bill Haney says, quote, "You didn't describe him for what he was. You painted Ryan as if he won something. He's a PED cheat. You never said that that's what he was." That's a statement made from Bill Haney. And the host interjects, of course, and tries to gaslight Bill by saying, I did. I asked your son specifically if the punishment fit the crime, and he said that he was at peace with it. Right? Bill checks him and says, the punishment is one thing, but how you describe what the fighter is, you did not do. Meaning that at no point in this second presser or in the initial one did anybody ever address Ryan Garcia as a drug cheat. Nobody said the word PED. They refrained. They avoided and bypassed at all costs the labeling and confirming of Ryan Garcia as a drug cheat. They mystified it. They put clouds around it and made sure to shroud every level of parlance with a vague description of what he had done, and instead tried to pass it off like he had an alcohol problem or a weed problem or something like that. These are deliberate attempts to avoid the issue, to avoid naming the issue and calling it for what it is, calling Ryan for what it is. This is why Bill said you did not describe him for what he was, a PED cheat. Bill is absolutely correct and within his right to hold that man to the stake. The host deliberately steered away from naming coherently and intelligibly what Ryan Garcia did. He did not name the punishment. He did not name what that punishment was ever in that entire presser. Neither did the first host in the initial kickoff presser. This man simply used the term punishment as a vague descriptor. No identification was placed on the actions of Ryan Garcia. He did not name the punishment. Why was Ryan Garcia punished? Why? Because he's a PED cheat. No one who isn't familiar, or, let's say there are people in the audience who needed reminding of Ryan's drug cheating, would know that this is what this man was referring to. Nobody would know. They just hear the word punishment. Oh, well, what did he do? Well, in the first presser, he referred to alcohol. Maybe he was caught drinking alcohol. Not the truth. That was a deliberate move by this cowardly host and by the higher ups who approved this disgraceful stuff to take place on that stage. Now let's get into another revolting and reviling moment within this presser that was so strange and bizarre that it seems, again, all care was taken to avoid concentration and focus on the matter as a whole. Now, what I'm referring to is the odd stipulation that was placed on Devin and Bill Haney. Every other fighter on that stage, you guys, was accompanied by their trainer, promoter, or whatever representative of their team. Every fighter up there, aside from Devin Haney. Devin Haney was the only one up there alone on that stage. To my understanding, Bill Haney was relegated to sitting out in the audience. In the audience. Since when does Bill Haney not join his son on stage during the promotion of a fight? Somebody please explicate this to me. When have you ever seen Bill Haney's presence not on the stage with his son in their history? It has not happened. What was this deliberate separation of Bill Haney from Devin at the presser, you guys? Is Bill Haney not a promoter of DHP? Oscar fucking Fishnets could sit up there with Ryan Garcia. All of the other men up there could be joined by their accompanists. But not Devin? With his promoter? Trainer? So that the castigating of Devin Haney goes beyond the verbal. Now it is the physical separation of Devin Haney from his father. What is going on? What is going on? There is no viable reason why Bill Haney should not have been on that stage joining his son. The man who he brought up into championship status, into being the youngest undisputed champion in the 4-belt era. That's Bill. That's his hard work and belief in his child. He should not be sitting anywhere other than next to the man he made. Who stipulated this? Who mandated this? We need to know. Who put that in place and set that in motion? Ryan is up there with his slick hair back looking like some goddamn grease lightning with Oscar by his side. Barboza got his person. Tio got his person. What the fuck is this? This is Turkey's event, right? A Riyadh card? So all of my accusations will be pointed at him. What the fuck kind of bullshit is this, y'all? Everyone's up there with their support and Devin isn't able to be? Now, interesting occurrence on Twitter. Najee from Cigar Talk chimed in on this point because he also, was aware, of the separation of Devin from Bill. And he chimed in on Twitter, okay? He pointed out this disgusting matter. And he wrote, quote, "I can't lie. Bill Haney was supposed to be on that stage talking crazy. Turn up, Dollar Bill." That's Najee. Devin replies to Najee, and he states, "They trying to silence him. Everybody else up there with their promoters, but I'm up here dolo." That's Devin's statement in response to Najee, who called out the bullshit. We need to call severe attention to this issue, you guys. I cannot say it enough. We need to be talking about it and holding people accountable. Where have you ever seen this? If you cannot point me at an example, I don't want to hear no fucking excuses. Or trumped up possibilities. Oh, maybe he said that he couldn't go up there because if he did, I don't give a fuck. If everybody else was allowed to have their person next to them, their representative next to them, you would have thought that Devin Haney is the one who committed an atrocity in this sport. The fucking cheater, Ryan Garcia, is being glorified and carelessly flaunted in our faces, while Devin Haney is being treated like some bottom bitch or something. And Devin Haney is the only significant figure on this entire card. This is who people will be turning in to see. Whether it's to see him fail or to see him rise, they are turning in and tuning in for Devin. That's why this card has a level of credibility to it. Who the fuck was asking for Rolly versus Ryan? Who really cares about that particular type of bout? Keep it a stack. Another thing of note is that a slick means that this vile media uses in order to justify and magnify their disdain for Devin, and with which they uphold the propaganda against Devin, has been to villainize him. When Devin spoke at particular moments during that presser, okay, people in the audience booed. You can hear boos in the audience slightly. Now, I cannot say if those were actual fans or if they were more likely implants or agents, right? Or a mix of both, just to amplify that particular response and to galvanize, a sense of, uneasiness in Devin Haney and DHP, who were there in support of Devin, and the people, who would ultimately be watching that particular type of footage. Oh, Devin's getting booed. They wanted to corral that energy. Oh, he's getting booed, right? Perhaps people, who were in racist Riri's group were among that particular group. Well, I beg, to posit that that was probably the majority of people doing that, right? Implants and agents, like I said. Devin walks out on the stage. Here are the boos. The cue comes in to boo him. Devin speaks. Oh, here's the cue. Here's the cue to heckle, right? But the energy, is to galvanize a level of, being perceived of by the onlooker as Devin as a villain. They want him to assume and fulfill that role. Devin was asked at a particular point, how has assuming the role of a villain been? You seem to really be embracing this new role of a villain, right? He was asked something to that degree. And Devin did what he always does, which is held his head up. And he said, I'm used to it. I've long been the bad guy to people. Okay, that's a paraphrasing, but that's generally, an insight into what he had responded to that particular question and notion about him as a villain. He is used to it. He has become used to it. And I'm sure he has, particularly over the past year. Now, Devin Haney is the most clean-cut, mild-mannered, well-adjusted, respectable young man in this sport, especially compared to that of his peers. He does nothing but respect this sport and respect his own stature as an athlete, an upright athlete, a clean athlete. This is who they want to villainize. This is who they want desperately to associate with some type of illicit behavior or character traits. Desperately, they want that. That's not a role that they want Devin to play. That's exactly what they want him to be so that they can justify the aims and attacks at him. That's what they want to throw him into and be regarded as by the public, by the spectator. They want the public to draw away from him. They want to incite in you a need, an urge to boo him when you see him, even though he's done nothing throughout his entire career to deserve that or warrant that. They don't want you to boo the drug cheat Ryan. They want you to boo the clean athlete, the upright athlete, Devin. The Hall of Famer before he's even 30 years old. That's who they want you to boo. The man with the accolades that none of his peers can stand next to. That's who they want them to boo. They don't want his acceptance in this sport because Devin threatens that corrupt balance that they have going on. Devin goes against that grain and works against that framework. So they hate him for it. So much so that they will have the audience give a round of applause for a drug-cheating coward while welcoming and relishing in the boos towards Devin Haney. This is the system at work. This is the mindset. And I don't want to hear a shred of a notion. Oh, it's publicity. Oh, they'll get money for it, or you're taking it too serious. You're going too far. Well, they're just promoting a fight like that coward of a host said. Well, they wanted me to promote the fight. They told me to go in there and ask questions and, ignite the fight. It's promotion. It's not promotion. You don't have to disavow or berate somebody for having going through a crazy experience that jeopardized their entire career and life, if we're keeping it a buck. His life was played with in that ring. Being in there with somebody that ain't give a fuck about the belt, about nothing. He just wanted to overcome and supersede a dominant black male. And real talk, Ryan Garcia has never been more, infamous in his entire career, other than, the disgrace that he caused against Devin Haney. The stardom that he got off of the back of that disgrace is, pales, has everything in his career prior to that, pales in comparison to this disgrace that he caused. He is upheld and beloved for the disgrace that he caused in that ring last year. It's appalling to every degree and level that you want to take it to. Appalling all the way around. Now, additionally, this must be said. Ryan Garcia's continued harassment of Devin Haney's 14-year-old brother or something like that. I believe he's around 14 years old, Devin Haney's brother. This continued harassment towards this young minor has to stop. I don't know about you guys, but this is an ongoing, recurrent theme as well. Ryan Garcia, for the past year, has been throwing shots at this young kid because he's like, yo, that dude must have been on drugs or something, because there's no possible way that outcome could have turned out the way that it did. And ever since then, because he's such a pussy and he couldn't provide his own sense of manhood, he couldn't be honest and say what he did, whether it was via contamination or otherwise, whatever BS that you want to believe, he popped dirty. He instead takes the route to point a finger at a 14-year-old child and says, well, how did you know that I popped for PEDs or that I would pop for PEDs? You got to be a part of it. You're a part of the conspiracy. A child he is talking to. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. That is a line that no athlete should ever be stepping near. To be talking about in any type of way, a minor, a child, blaming a 14-year-old child for his drug cheating and making constant references, incessant references throughout the past year is disturbing, it's unsettling, and troublesome for varying reasons that, of course, I hope we are too intelligent enough to not even have to call light to. We already know what time that is. I don't want to see Ryan addressing or tweeting about that boy anymore. This shit has to stop. That's a fucking 14-year-old boy. Plastering the image of a minor on his Twitter page? That's something that I came across. I do not follow that coward, but I came across somebody reposting that. He had posted that child again. And I remember the initial time that he posted on his page last year amid the height of the scandal. Why is he plastering a child's face on his page? Honestly, this stuff is actually going beyond the level of sport. It has long since, passed that particular type of threshold of sports. Real talk, I'm looking at this stuff now, coming off of last night's presser like, yo, fuck this fight, fuck him. I'm going back to my original stance of don't give this man an inkling of your energy or your time, and definitely don't give him a red cent of a payday. Not a single penny should be put in that man's pocket off of the back of Devin Haney's name. Let him go keep fighting Rolly Romero's and all these other scumbags he wants to fight. Go jump off their nutsack. There will be no clout off of the Devin Haney name or brand. I'm assuming that position once again, even though I gave Devin Haney the leeway because I knew that rematch was important to him. A sense of reclamation of his character in the public's eye, and to prove that man was a drug cheat, and to prove that he is miles and miles ahead and has always been, as far as skill for skill, compared to that of Ryan Garcia. I knew that was imperative to Devin Haney to get that back and to set it right in front of the world. And so I supported him. But this craziness that I'm seeing and witnessing is just disgusting and disgraceful on every level. Bad enough, I have the foul memory of what was done to that man and the media that jumped on the bandwagon to try to bury that man, Devin Haney, and continue to do so to this point. I'm beginning to want nothing or no parts of this particular fight in May. Even though I support wholeheartedly the King Devin Haney and all of his ventures. But it's difficult for me to witness and stand by, and account for everything that I am seeing here with no repudiation given, no backlash, no controlling of the energy that's being so carelessly and recklessly, thrown around. It's not cool. Bill Haney was obviously, unsettled by witnessing everything that was said to his son up on that stage, and he took it upon himself to stand 10 toes and to call it out for what it was directly to the perpetrator of that disgusting propaganda. And I'm wondering if there have been some discussions behind the scenes with Turki Al-Sheikh, the header, the head honcho, as far as this entire event is concerned. Are there talks with him? What are the discussions with him? Because these interviewers didn't just saunter on that stage. They were hired, they were approved, the questions were reviewed and approved. What is going on here? Who is pulling these strings and setting forth this particular type of pace for this promotion? You can promote a fight, without disparaging views being carried out by the media, by the people who are supposed to have a sense of reserve and journalistic integrity as interviewers, as MCs of an event. Fighters say crazy things to them, to each other all the time. That's part and parcel to the game, right? They're in the heat of battle, or they're preparing at least to be in due battle with their opponent. Okay. But when you have the media lambasting and disavowing the athlete, it's crazy. And there's no integrity at that point. I'm going to leave it there for now. I'd love to know your thoughts about this. Of course, share your views with me in the comment section. And let's continue the conversation. The conversation must be put on the table. And let's set the motion, to generate and bring some respect back to this sport, especially to the fighters who have done nothing but uphold this sport with the level of grace and respect that the people of legend that we salute have done. I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm on to the next. Peace.